And now I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, What's New in Horizon 8? I'm going to hand things over to our featured presenter today. He is one of our very own New Horizons instructors, Sean Boland. Sean, you now have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mayanne, and thank you for all the participants for taking a few minutes out of your day to join us. To all of my former students, welcome back. To future students, hope to see you in class sometime soon. As Mayanne mentioned, my name is Sean Boland. I am a New Horizons instructor. I've been with New Horizons a little over 13 years. I am based out of Omaha, Nebraska, bright and sunny Omaha, Nebraska. You notice I did put my email address on the slide there. I do encourage all of you and all of my students to email me. If you happen to come up with a question or something that's not addressed in this webinar, you'd like to follow up with me after the fact, please shoot me an email. Absolutely love to hear from you. As I mentioned, with New Horizons in Omaha, my role with New Horizons, I'm a full-time technical trainer. You can pretty much categorize what I do as I'm a systems guy. I spend most of my time dealing directly with our virtualization partners, VMware being one of the big ones. I also do quite a bit of cloud training. I work with AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, etc. I am one of our principal VMware instructors, which is why I'm bringing you this presentation today. So now to the important stuff, why you came. So VMware has recently, in the last couple of months, rolled out a new version of their flagship VDI product, which is Horizon. I've put together here a handful of topics that I'd like to visit with you about regarding what's new in Horizon. By no means is this everything that's new in Horizon. We have classes that cover everything, which I'll talk about as well. But I tried to highlight what I think are maybe some of the more significant new features that existing customers are going to care about, or maybe customers that are looking at VDI, why might this be the right time for you to jump in? First and foremost, got a new name. So the product name is still Horizon. That's not changing. That's been stable now for several years. But with this release, VMware is doing what some other vendors have done. Microsoft's done this a little bit, in that they're adding the year and the month of the release of the product to the name. So this particular release of Horizon is Horizon 2006. Now, the year and the month obviously are designed to be the year and the month that the product was released. Some of you might be saying, but wait, this came out in August, not in June. 06 is June. The version of the product actually got sealed back in June. So that's when the product was finished. VMware didn't end up doing the public announcement of it, et cetera, until August. Now, whether or not VMware ends up dropping the Horizon 8 label, officially the product is Horizon 2006. When VMware comes out with an update to the product, instead of calling it Update 1, Update 2, Update 3, it's simply going to be Horizon and then whatever the year and the month is. So as an example, and I don't know if this is going to happen, if VMware would roll out an update in January, it would be Horizon 2101 for January of 2021. What VMware is trying to do here is get away from that whole major release version and go to just kind of the idea that we have a really solid base product, and now it's just kind of a little incremental upgrade. You're probably familiar with this. Other companies, Microsoft started this. They're doing it with Windows Server product, with their SCCM product, with Windows 10, et cetera. So VMware is just kind of falling in line with that. My suspicion is that pretty much everybody will call this Horizon 8 because it's Horizon 8. But again, when you see that 2006 out there, that's what that's indicating. Now to some more technical things, which is what we really care about. Licensing. I don't think I've ever run into an administrator who, when you say the word licensing, they're like, yay, let's talk about licensing. A couple of things have changed here. First of all, there have been a lot of additions and removals of some of the Horizon components. You'll see that on the very next slide with the license additions. But notice here that there are two kind of big directions that you can go as a Horizon customer. You can do a subscription-based license, or you can do a perpetual license. Now, the perpetual license is the way that all of you have been licensing and running Horizon on premises traditionally. So that's kind of the licensing mode you've always been in. The subscription-based model, the reason VMware is putting this out there is VMware has been creating some strategic partnerships with cloud companies, with AWS, with Azure, with Google Cloud, et cetera, where you can run Horizon inside of a vendor's cloud. We can run Horizon in AWS, we can run Horizon in Azure, et cetera. Those subscription models are really designed for those companies who are looking at running the virtual desktops, but they really don't want to do them on-prem. They want to start getting into that whole hybrid cloud model and leveraging it that way. Now, if that's not you, if you're like, no, we run this on-prem and we're going to continue to run it on-prem, that's the way we're doing it, okay, you're going to stick with the perpetual licensing model. That's the traditional licensing model out there. For those of you who are thinking about that hybrid model, moving stuff to the cloud, that's where the subscription model is going to play in. So just a couple of different items. As Mayan mentioned, she's going to send out the recording link, so you have all of these links out here that I've got embedded in the presentation to take a look at those. Now, as I mentioned, the other thing with licensing, and this has always been true, Horizon comes in a standard edition, an advanced edition, and an enterprise edition. Okay, that's always been the case. And when we compare one edition to another, standard, advanced, enterprise, what changes is what components or what features of the product that you get. I got a big list on the next slide to show you. I've highlighted just a couple of brand new features in Horizon 2006 or Horizon 8 and mentioned that, oh, look, these are license specific. For instance, Linux hosted apps, which I'll talk about a little bit later. That's the ability to do a hosted streamed app off of a Linux server rather than a Windows server. Okay, well, that's a new feature. That feature is available for Enterprise Edition customers. This particular slide is maybe the most significant slide and is going to represent changes for those of you currently running Horizon. You're on Horizon 6, you're on Horizon 7, you're looking, hey, should I upgrade to Horizon 8? What's in it for me? What are we going to do? There have been a number of changes here that VMware's made. I'm going to point out some of the big ones here that are going to impact you. Now, none of these changes are things that are surprises if you've been paying attention to some things that VMware been talking about over the past couple of years. For instance, link clones. I have heard more talk about link clones than anything else. So if you're a Horizon customer, you know that traditionally, going back to Horizon 5, Horizon 6, Horizon 7, a linked clone pool has been a super popular type of desktop pool for companies to utilize. When I teach my Horizon classes, the rule of thumb is everybody use link clones. We love link clones. Well, in Horizon 7, VMware came out with a new kind of pool called instant clones, which it was kind of like the big brother, the newer version of what link clones were. And when VMware came out with instant clones, they started to very quietly talk about, you know, instant clones are probably going to be the replacement for link clones. So all you customers, you might start thinking about moving over to instant clones. They're better, they're newer, they're cooler. VMware has now formalized that. Link clones are available in Horizon 8 right now, but they are officially deprecated. Now, when VMware deprecates a technology, what that means is they're telling you, you have it today, but in the next release, it's gone. It's not going to be there. So VMware is planning an update to Horizon either in late Q4 or early Q1. At that point in time, there will be no more link clones. They will be gone. Now, some of you are probably having a panic reaction right now. You're saying, well, wait, we looked at instant clones before, but we couldn't do them because only Enterprise Edition can do them. That's no longer the case. In Horizon 8 or Horizon 2006, instant clone pools are available for every version, for every edition. If you're a standard edition customer, if you're an advanced customer, you're an enterprise customer, in Horizon 8, everybody gets to do instant clones. So now when VMware is saying, well, you really should look at instant clones, they really technologically are better than link clones, we're taking away link clones. That's not going to be something that cripples you as the customer, because no matter what edition you have, you get to use instant clones. That's a really, really, really big deal. I worked with tons of customers back in the Horizon 7 days that would tell me, wow, instant clones are amazing, but we're a standard or an advanced edition customer. We don't get them. Okay? So that's a huge change. Now, you can see the rest of the items here. Let me point out just a couple of other deprecated or removed features out here. The Windows Security Server one, that's not a big deal. The security server used to be the way we would allow external users from the internet to come in. We have been using the appliance for that, the Unified Access Gateway. The fact that the security server is no longer an option, that was known, it was going to happen. Nobody was running that anyway. The other major thing that's going to impact every single customer is the Horizon Administrative Console got a facelift. Now, back in Horizon 7, you had two different administrative consoles you can use. You had the old one that was based upon Adobe Flash, and then you had a new Horizon Administrator Console, which was HTML5. And in the Horizon 7 days, VMware was saying, okay, you're probably going to still use the old console because the new one we're working on, here it is. It's not quite there. It's not quite finished. Well, it's finished. In Horizon 8, the old Flash-based Horizon console is gone. It's just not there. It's completely gone. Of course, Flash is no longer going to be supported after the end of the year by pretty much anybody. So goodbye, Flash. We don't want to see you anymore. And we have this new Horizon Administrator Console based on HTML5. If you use other VMware products like vSphere or NSX, etc., all of VMware's products are getting rid of their old Flash-based consoles and going over to the HTML5 interface. So that's a good thing, kind of giving every product the same look and feel out there. One other item that I want to point out here, way down at the bottom, it says the virtual printing feature is no longer supported. You're not really having anything taken away from you there. Virtual printing is a technology that's been around forever in Horizon. This is a case where VMware has updated that technology to something newer called VMware Integrated Printing. It is all the same functionality as virtual printing before, only better. It can do a little bit more. So when you see things that are deprecated or removed, you're really not necessarily losing anything, because generally, oh, we got rid of the old, we're going to implement the new. And this is just kind of a mapping of some of those features to say, okay, at the top, here's what we used to have. Now down at the bottom, here's what that's being replaced with. So again, I do hear customers occasionally get a little bit twisted when they say, oh my gosh, they took out a whole bunch of stuff, we lost all this stuff. And the answer is, well, no, not really, because for everything that's either been deprecated or removed, there's a, oh, by the way, this is what you're going to use now. So again, these are all generally good things across the board here. Digging into even more specific information, your connection server. For those of you who are Horizon customers right now, you know that the connection server is kind of like the main or the primary server in Horizon. It's the first Horizon component we bring up. It runs your administrative console. It's what allows Horizon clients to authenticate, get connected to their desktops, etc. Your connection server is kind of the beginning and end of your Horizon deployments. Well, you still have connection servers. That has not changed out there. They do the same basic functionality that they always have. However, in relating back to what I mentioned with the ability for you, the customer, to potentially start to look at running Horizon in a cloud environment, whether that's AWS or Azure or Google Cloud, whatever, when you run the installer on a connection server, notice down here, and this is the bottom graphic, that the installer is now going to ask you a new question. You never saw this question in the installer before. It's basically saying, hey, where are you deploying this at? General would be what you would do if you're deploying the connection server in an on-prem environment. If you're deploying it in one of the cloud partners, obviously you would choose the cloud partner out there specifically. I'm not going to go into detail on the whole Horizon on cloud. That's a completely different topic. It did take us a long time to go through that. Just an FYI for you here, if you are going to be running Horizon with one of the various cloud partners out there, there are obviously additional costs associated with those cloud partners. AWS is not going to let you run VMs in AWS just for free because you want to. You're obviously using Horizon to manage virtual desktops, but you would have cloud-related costs along with that. This is just the ability to build a Horizon environment in the cloud. Again, for those of you on-prem, you do new installs of connection servers, you just choose general, and it's just like your connection server's been in the past. One other little change with respect to connection servers, and it's down at the bottom of the slide. When you upgrade connection servers, once you get on Horizon 8, it is possible to do parallel upgrades. It's very common for companies to have multiple connection servers for redundancy purposes. And traditionally, when we would do an upgrade, hey, a new version came out, you'd have to go to each of your connection servers kind of one by one and upgrade them individually. You can now upgrade multiple connection servers simultaneously. Now, that's only once you get on Horizon 8 and then going forward. The other thing that I will mention, and some of you are probably wondering this, the connection servers are still exclusively Windows servers. There is no option for a connection server appliance or a pre-built version of that. I know everybody wants one. I'd love to have one too. To date, VMware has not talked about making the connection server an appliance. It's a Windows server, which again, that's okay. It is what it is. Now let's talk about instant clones for a moment. I mentioned that instant clones were something that was new in Horizon 7. VMware billed instant clones as being the next evolution of desktop technology after link clones. The reason that VMware named this way to create desktops in a pool instant clones is because of the speed at which we can spin up new desktops for our users. Spinning up a new instant clone, once you have the infrastructure built, can literally happen in a couple of seconds. So you have a user sign out, their instant clone gets destroyed, a brand new instant clone gets created in a couple of seconds, nice clean environment. And again, it was a pretty huge leap forward in technology back in Horizon 7. Now, when you run instant clones, there's a pretty significant amount of back-end technology that has to get created in order to power the individual instant clones. Now, the good news is when you go through the wizard to create the instant clone pool, it builds all that infrastructure for you. That back-end infrastructure that's behind the instant clones can take up some resources. I mean, takes up disk space, takes up some memory, et cetera. So what VMware did in Horizon 8 is really, really cool. And this really is targeted towards companies who are running a relatively small number of instant clone machines on an individual ESXi host. They've eliminated part of the infrastructure. There's a internal template that's created, there's a replica machine that's created, then on each data store on each host, there's a parent machine that gets created, which provides some shared memory, et cetera. Well, VMware in Horizon 8, and this is called Instant Clone Smart Provisioning, if when you deploy your instant clone pools, there are going to be fewer than 12 individual instant clones on an ESXi server, then intelligently, aka smart provisioning, what Horizon will do is it'll say, okay, well, we're just going to skip creating this parent machine on each host on each data store for those 12 instant clones. Now, the user's not going to notice a difference. It's just a Windows server. They log in, they get their email, all that kind of stuff. They're happy. This is going to save you resources because those parent VMs were a running read-only copy of the VM that provided some shared memory space, etc. What VMware found, partially through feedback from you, the customer, is that running those in environments that were running a relatively small number of instant clones, the resources that those parent machines took up kind of offset the gains that you got in the efficiency of instant clones. So what VMware said is, okay, well, we can figure out a better way to do that. Now, here's the really cool part about this. If you come to my class and I teach you this, you don't have to do anything differently. You're creating an instant clone pool. You're telling Horizon, hey, take these instant clone machines, spread them across the host in this cluster. And if there ends up being fewer than 12 instant clone VMs on an individual host, Horizon will just say, yeah, we can get by without the parent, it'll be fine. If you're deploying a pool that is larger than that, there's more than 12 individual clones on a single individual ESXi server, then Horizon will say, you know what? It's a little bit more efficient now to create that parent VM on each host, on each data store to provide that read-only data. You don't have to tell it to do that. It's quote unquote smart provisioning out there. So it's actually something that's going to save you resources on your hosts. It's going to save you RAM. Yeah, that's a good thing. We like that. Remember, instant clones now are available to every version of Horizon. Standard customers, advanced, and enterprise. All right, staying on the technical theme here, a couple of additional items. Display protocol changes. In Horizon 7, VMware came out with a new display protocol. And actually, this display protocol has some roots back to Horizon 6, but it was labeled Blast Extreme. We have RDP available, we have PC over IP available, and we have Blast Extreme. And when Horizon 7 came out, VMware was saying, you know what? We built this brand new display protocol, Blast Extreme, from the ground up. It's optimized for virtual desktops. It's amazing. It's self-tuning. Everybody should start using it. Now, on the slide I have here display protocol changes. Blast Extreme is just getting better and better and better. We don't have a new display protocol. VMware is, again, doubling and tripling down on Blast Extreme, saying it is the most efficient protocol. It supports huge monitors. Notice you can do up to 2 8K monitors for an individual user, which is just kind of crazy out there. Supports new high performance codecs. There's even more of a reason why Blast Extreme is the go-to protocol. Now, RDP and PC over IP are still supported display protocols. Some of you I know are thinking, but wait, I've got a bunch of zero clients that are PC over IP zero clients. They have a Teradici chipset in it. You can still use PC over IP for those. It is still there, it is still supported. But unless you have some technical reason why you have to use one of those other protocols, RDP or PC over IP, Blast Extreme is becoming even better with each version. One other little tweak with this, in previous versions of Horizon with the Horizon client, there was a Skype for Business plugin, which effectively allowed your physical device you're sitting at to offload some processing for Skype for Business, for video, etc., for meetings. Okay, that has been fully updated and is compatible with Teams. If you're a Microsoft customer, Microsoft 365, you know, Teams is pretty much everything in the Microsoft universe. So if you're using Teams, when you upgrade to the new Horizon 2006 and the new Horizon client that goes along with that for Windows, there is that capability to enable that Teams plugin. All that does, which is significant, is it allows your users' physical devices, their laptop they're sitting at, to offload a lot of that video and audio processing from Teams on the underlying physical hardware, as opposed to having the host do that on the back end. So that is a part of both the Blast Extreme protocol and the New Horizon client. So if you're a Teams customer, again, that just adds efficiencies to Horizon for that. Again, good stuff. All right, a few more items. We're not done yet. There's lots of cool stuff here. AppVolumes. AppVolumes is a technology that VMware bought several years ago. They reached out to a company called AppVolumes and purchased their product and turned it into AppVolumes. AppVolumes is a technology that allows us to deploy applications. Now, AppVolumes is a licensed technology. If you are a Horizon Enterprise customer, you get AppVolumes as a part of your enterprise license, so that's a good thing. If you're not an enterprise customer, you don't get AppVolumes with Horizon, you could license it separately. So the change I'm highlighting here is if you are an AppVolumes customer, AppVolumes version 4, which is a major upgrade, comes along with Horizon 8 for those enterprise customers. Previously, we were on AppVolumes 2 dot something. There had been long talks of upgrades. Hey, when's AppVolumes going to get an upgrade? Is there going to be a version 3, etc.? Well, version 4 actually came out a little bit before Horizon 8, but this is what we have running. Now, AppVolumes 4 is a massive technological upgrade for AppVolumes. There is a new naming scheme that goes along with this one as well. You're going to see that version identifier for the year and month that it got released. That you're going to see that on there. So just be aware of that. The fundamental way that you package and deliver applications with AppVolumes between the 2x version and the 4x version is fundamentally different. Now, it still does the same thing, packages up your applications, puts them in a virtual hard drive, and then effectively attaches the virtual hard drive to the machine, which is amazing. But from an administrative perspective, the way you package the applications together, create them, etc., is radically fundamentally different, and it's better. Instead of just creating a generic app stack like you used to, that was in AppVolumes 2, we now go through and create applications, which represents the actual package software. You then create a package, which is where you're capturing those bits onto a virtual disk. And then there's a program associated with that, which is really how it gets deployed out to the user's machine. So it's using an application package program model as opposed to an app stack model. Again, your user's not going to know the difference. Your user's just like, hey, cool, I have Office now. That's amazing. But the way that AppVolumes works internally, fundamentally different. I would strongly advise any customers who are AppVolumes 2x customers, when you're looking at doing your upgrades, whether you're going to Horizon 8 or if you're an independent AppVolumes customer, look at some of the training for AppVolumes 4, and I'll talk about the training classes in just a moment. You're really going to want to sit through the training. Again, it's not hard, but it's very, very different the way it works. Just be aware of that. All right, just a couple more items here, and we'll see if we got any questions hanging out there. DEM, Dynamic Environment Manager. Some of you may know this by an older name. This used to be called User Environment Manager, UEM, and back in the Horizon 7 days, VMware decided to rename it to DEM. Dynamic Environment Manager used to be a technology that was a licensed technology. You only got to use Dynamic Environment Manager if you were a Horizon Enterprise customer. That has changed. Now, if you are a standard or an advanced Horizon customer, you do get a version of DEM. Now, for those of you who are sitting there thinking, what's DEM? DEM, Dynamic Environment Manager, is effectively a user profile management tool. As a Horizon VDI customer, you may have users that are bouncing from one machine to another, maybe because it's a floating pool or they have access to different pools. Sometimes they log onto a physical machine, sometimes they log on a virtual machine, and you need to have a way to sync that user's data, the profile, etc. There's a lot of profile management technologies out there in the world. Several years ago, VMware bought a company called Immediate Software, brought their product in, renamed it. It's become Dynamic Environment Manager. When I, as an administrator, look at managing user profiles, managing Windows profiles, that's never been a super pretty option. Okay, the Windows profile's just kind of been a pain to manage through the history of Windows. It just has. Environment Manager, Dynamic Environment Manager, is, in my opinion, one of the most amazing profile management tools ever. The problem was, as a Horizon customer, you only got it if you're an Enterprise Edition customer. Standard and Advanced now get the Standard edition of DEM, which you can do basic profile management with. You see some of the abilities down here at the bottom of Manage Drives, folder redirection, log on tasks, printer mappings. Everybody gets to use that. There's also a little built-in help desk tool with DEM. So when your users call up and say, hey, I jacked up my profile, can you help me? Mr. or Ms. Help Desk person, that's included with the Standard edition. The Advanced edition does have some additional features with it. If you're a Horizon Enterprise customer, you get the Enterprise version, but everybody else gets the Standard edition. I've been talking to a number of Horizon 7 and Horizon 6 customers about Horizon 8, and I can tell you the two things that the Standard and Advanced customers are just going absolutely crazy for is in Horizon 8, they get to use instant clones now, where before they couldn't because of licensing, and they get DEM Standard Edition now. Those two things for Standard and Advanced Edition customers are a huge reason to upgrade to Horizon 8. You get more than what you had before in Horizon 6 and 7. We always like more. We never like less. Last couple of items. Linux published applications. So if you're a Horizon customer, back in Horizon 6 era, VMware started to do something called RDSH applications. These are also called application pools. This was a direct attempt to try to take market share away from Citrix. It's a major competitor for VMware in this space. And the application pools in previous versions, you would set up a Windows server, install remote desktop services on it, install your applications on it, and then basically you could stream those applications from the Windows server out to your users' Horizon clients. Again, they were sometimes called RDSH applications or application pools. The streaming application is something we've had around for several versions. It's still there in Horizon 8 or Horizon 2006. However, if you are an Enterprise Edition customer, you can now set up a Linux VM, install applications on it, browsers or whatever it happens to be, anything that could run on a Linux OS, and you could then stream those applications out to your Horizon client. Same exact functionality that we had with the RDSH applications or application pools previously, except now instead of having to do it on a Windows server, I can do it on a Linux machine. You see different versions of Linux being supported down there. Now, the one big giant caveat to this is obviously whatever application you're going to publish or stream has to be able to run on a Linux OS. If the app won't run on Linux OS, you're not streaming it from a Linux OS. This can be a huge deal for some companies because one of the hidden things, and not really hidden, but when I used the application pools previously, I had to pay Microsoft because I was running those on a Windows server. Microsoft expected paid for those Windows servers. Remote desktop services on Windows is a licensed component. So again, you're responsible for licensing that from Microsoft. Well, now, if I have apps that can run on Linux, I could stream them from Linux, and I'm avoiding doing that on a Windows server. Again, no offense to Microsoft. I'm a Microsoft trainer. It's awesome, but this is another option. Again, for some companies, that's going to be a huge one. Now, I'm hitting a few of the features here, kind of winding down to the end. Want to leave a few minutes for questions if there are some out there. New Horizons is a training company. I'm a trainer. We'd love to have you come take our classes. So if Horizon 8 is in your future, what are you looking at as far as a menu of classes? So VMware always comes out with several different training options for their classes. That's not new. They do this for vSphere, et cetera. This is the list of classes for Horizon. And I want to point out a couple things specifically here. You'll notice one of these classes I have highlighted in red, the Horizon 8 Deploy and Manage class. I've highlighted that one in red because that's kind of the go-to class for most environments, for most administrators. It covers the broadest array of Horizon infrastructure. How do you build it? How do you set up? How do you do the pools, et cetera? The vast majority of customers are probably going to gravitate to that. Now, here's the other thing that's new. VMware has taken that deploy and manage class, that 5-day class. Deploy and manage is actually these two classes put together. Here's the significant part. This first class, skills for desktop management. That class, the content of that, notice it's a 3-day class, is specifically designed for people who are not necessarily the Horizon administrator on the back end, like they're going to build the whole thing, but they are interacting with Horizon and probably doing end user support. I'm talking about you, help desk person, or you, desktop support person. Previously, VMware didn't have a class geared towards that part of Horizon. Basically, we had a Horizon class that said, hey, here's how you do everything. Here's how you build it. Here's how you set it up, et cetera. When a company would come to us and say, I really need some training for my help desk because they're working with Horizon, they're doing end user support, et cetera. That exact class really didn't exist. It does now. So when you want to train your help desk people for their part, we can do it with that 3-day class, skills for virtual desktop administration. For the Horizon admin who needs to do everything, the skills for desktop administration plus the infrastructure part, which is 2 days, merge those together. That's the deploy and manage class. So you have some flexibility here in how you can approach that. The other thing that I want to point out specific to AppVolumes and Dynamic Environment Manager, if that's what you want to learn, is AppVolumes and Dynamic Environment Manager. There is a separate standalone class for that, 3-day class. It is dedicated to those topics alone. It's not going to teach you how to build pools and do all that kind of stuff. It's just going to be those 2 topics. Now, VMware has a combo. What if I want both? The deploy and manage, and I need AppVolumes and I need DEM. Okay, VMware has what they call a fast track class, which is basically the deploy and manage and the AppVolumes smashed together in one class. Notice it says 5 days, extended days. So that's 5 10-hour days because we're cramming a whole bunch of material in there. So again, got a lot of different options for you to potentially take a look at when your company's going to Horizon 8. What do we need to know? How do we get there? How to go through the upgrade process, et cetera. That deploy and manage class is probably going to be the go-to for most environments, but you definitely have some flexibility options out here in how you approach that. The other thing, and I always like to remind our customers of this, the other thing that New Horizons does all the time is we can customize training for you as well. So you come to us and say, hey, we got 30 different people we need trained. We can take these classes and do some customization for dedicated classes as well. So that's always an option out there. Got a couple links here at the end, and again, you're going to get a copy of the presentation out here, so you'll be able to see these. All those class descriptions, they are on the New Horizons website, newhorizons.com. You can take a look at those. I've also included a couple of links here to a couple of blog posts that VMware put out, which kind of summarize some of these new features that I've been talking about, et cetera. And again, you'll get a link with the recording of the presentation, so you'll follow all of those links out there. All right, now it's your turn. Questions, comments?
All right. Thank you so much, Sean. If you have any questions, please take the time now to enter it into the questions menu there and just send them on in. I'll give everyone a few minutes to do that. Just echoing what Sean was saying in terms of our courses. If you are interested in the material that was presented in this webinar, or if you just have questions regarding what's available to you in terms of VMware training and course offerings, please contact your local center for more information. You can log on to newhorizons.com and do a quick zip code search for the center that's nearest you as well. Also to let you know, we do have our webinar schedule up to date. We have November and December dates in there, so feel free to take a look at our schedule and register for any upcoming sessions that may be of interest to you. And a quick reminder, this session is being recorded. You will be receiving a recording link later today for you to review, share, and post for others to see as well. So just taking a quick look here, Sean, at the questions box. We don't have any that have come in just yet. You probably did such a good job really going through all the details for Horizon 8 and making sure that everyone knew what was coming down the pipe there. So just giving folks just a few more minutes in case you do have any questions here. Feel free to just type those in and we'll make sure that Sean gets those answers for you. To Sean's point, there is the handout of the presentation you can download in the handout section. I believe that's right below or where the questions menu box is as well. So you can download that presentation here that he just went through. All right. Just taking a look here, Sean. Still don't have any questions that have come in. Well, you know, you did such a great job, Sean. I do appreciate you presenting on behalf of New Horizons as always. You know, if there's no questions, I'll end the session early today. That being said, thank you again for joining us, everyone. You may now log off from the session. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.